Welcome to the Long Center and to tonight's inconceivable celebration of the Princess Bride. This is fun. My name is Henry. I'm with the Action Pack in the Alamo Drafthouse. I have here JJ from Rooster Teeth.
My name is JJ Castillo from Rooster Teeth. Be prepared to be entertained.
And we have got an incredible evening in store for you. Everybody here at the Long Center, everybody watching us on a live stream at an Alamo Drafthouse across the country, it's just going to be something that we're going to remember forever. So, let's get started. To start with, tonight is a quote-along screening of The Princess Bride. Now, some of you have probably been to a quote-along at the Alamo before, and some of you probably haven't, but let's talk about quote-along etiquette for a minute, because this is important, okay?
Do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts of quoting along. Number one, quote along. We do want you to talk, but we want you to say all of your favorite quotes, not just make your own jokes. This is not a heckle along. You are not funnier or smarter than this movie, so don't try to be. Just love it. Just love it. If you've been to some of the shows at an Alamo, sometimes there will be subtitles on screen. We do not have any subtitles on screen here at the Long Center tonight. I think you guys know the movie okay anyway, right? So, all of your favorite lines, say them as loud as you possibly can. Read the entire script if you would have it all memorized. That is all good. Just please, no being rude to people around you is all we ask. Second, you guys have some props. Yes, that's working. You have your inflatable sword, as JJ is modeling here so kindly.
I have my sword.
We're going to use those anytime there's an amazing sword fight on screen. You're going to wave your sword along. I recommend starting with the sword in your left hand so that you can dramatically switch halfway through the fight. You have your wedding bells. Those are wedding bells that we have. That's a great sound. We're going to use those anytime there's kissing on screen. Because this is a kissing movie? Ew. Gross. And then the bubbles tonight we're going to use near the end as Buttercup is floating down to her horse. We're going to have magical bubbles floating all through the theater here and at every Alamo, of course. So those are the props, but then there's extra activities that we want everyone to do, which is my favorite part of this. The first one is misspelled as inconceivable. That's good.
Inconceivable.
So many people have looked at all of these slides as we were checking this all day. Immediately as I turn around, that's always what happens. So, every time Vizzini says inconceivable, obviously we're going to quote along with that, but then we're also all going to smack ourselves in the forehead, as if we can't believe it.
That's very important, or else it doesn't count.
It sounds so good. It sounds so good that I want to do a test before we start. On three, I want to hear everybody just yell out, inconceivable, and then smack yourself in the forehead. 1, 2, 3. So
that was good.
Another great moment, hopefully better spelled. During the As You Wish hill roll scene, you'll know when it's coming up. I want everybody to actually stand up in your seat. Be careful if you're in those seats. That is very scary. You're going to stand up, and as Wesley is rolling down the hill, calling out As You Wish, we're all going to spin around at our chairs, calling it out the entire time.
And you better do it, because we will watch.
So there's that. And then Carrie was kind enough to actually, we had a phone call to prepare for this, and he was like, well, you're of course going to be booing the old hag when she boos, right? And so yes, of course.
Duh.
When he's being tortured in the pit of despair, I want us to yell so loud that the people at that private party out on the terrace are really, really disturbed. We want to hear that scream all across the kingdom. And then there's some fun new ones when he tells Fezzik to sleep well and dream of large women. We've never done this before. I want to give it a shot. We're all going to sing, dream, 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 dream. That's really nice.
Nice.
And then lastly, when Fezzik says that he only doggy paddles, we're all going to bark once. And that's how we'll doggy paddle along with him.
Now, the phrase "as you wish" has a lot to do with what we're doing tonight, because Carrie's got his new book, As You Wish.
Boom!
Whoa!
As you all are probably aware, all of your tickets here and at Alamo Drafthouses come with a signed copy of the book.
What?
Which we will have at tables for you as you exit the theater. I believe that's how it's working at every Alamo as well. And then
something really cool we're doing. If we're showing this a lot of different draft houses, so you here, as well as other draft houses, can let us know what questions you want us to ask Carrie by tweeting with the "As You Wish Book" hashtag. Make sure you put the book in there. As You Wish Book hashtag. Let us know your questions.
And do that now, because while this isn't an Alamo, we'll still smack you really hard with the sword if you're texting during the movie.
But we will ask your questions. Just let us know what you want us to ask. Henry, can I just say, you got the better end of the deal. I've got hair in my mouth. I'm like choking on this. This is awful, this mustache. But you look great. You look, what are those pants? Are those seal?
I really like how I went with the sock look there, too. Yeah. Very classy because we're at the Long Center. And then also, you'll get something else on the way out, and this is really exciting for me. It's something we've been working on for a long time. We are starting a whole pint glass collection at the Alamo. That is the first look at the first glass in this new collection today, where there'd be these screen-printed Star Wars glasses, and my mom, who is here tonight, actually has the entire collection that we built together as a family still on display in her house. And I was looking at those glasses and thinking, I work for a movie theater that serves beer. Why don't we have something like this? So now we will. You will all get one of these on the way out. At the Alamo, you'll get one on the way out. And we're going to do another one in February, and that'll be really cool, too. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's probably all we have to talk about tonight. Is there anything else we're forgetting?
I believe so. I think got it all.
You know, one thing I do want to say before we go off from the glass is that we also have the illustrator here. Eric is in the house, who was the illustrator on this glass and the entire Princess Bride set. Right there. Thank you, sir. And there's somebody else special that we have here, too, that wants to come out and say a little something before we start the film.
I believe so.
Please bring down the house for Mr. Cary Elwes.
Wow. Wow. Okay, thank you for that incredibly warm welcome. Okay. Before we start, I just want to thank you all for coming, number one. My goodness me. And I also want to thank Alamo Drafthouse, Henry Mazza, JJ Castillo, brave men, for putting on these costumes. Let's hear it for these guys. Karen Janch, the Long Center, for hosting this event. Yes. And to all the staff here and at Alamo Draft Houses everywhere for helping to organize this magnificent evening. I'm truly humbled by it, really. Thank you. The author of The Princess Bride, William Goldman, once said about the movie business, nobody knows anything. And by that he meant, no one knows what makes a hit movie. For if they did, he reasons, everyone would be making hit movies all the time. That was certainly true for The Princess Bride. None of us knew who were involved with the film when we were making it that it would end up becoming such a beloved movie. Thank you. Mr. Goldman originally conceived of the idea for the book on a trip to California with his daughters. To pass the time, he told them he'd write them a story and asked them what they'd like it to be about. One daughter said princesses, the other said brides. And so with that sweet beginning, it shouldn't be surprising that The Princess Bride came to be his most treasured work, which is saying something from the man who earned 2 Academy Awards for writing the screenplays for All the President's Men and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Yes. Over the years, many people tried to turn his novel into a film, including Robert Redford, Norman Jewison, Francois Truffaut, Richard Lester, and even Carl Reiner. But none of them could get the movie off the ground. A decade later, Carl's son, Rob Reiner, coming off his classic hit comedy, This Is Spinal Tap, I see we have some Spinal Tap fans here tonight. Rob believed he had enough chutzpah to think he could pull it off. And so, with the blessing of Bill Goldman and the support of Norman Lear as producer, he was able to get 20th Century Fox to back the movie. I had read Goldman's book when I was just 13, and I loved it. I remember his description of the good bits from S. Morgenstern's fictitious novel: fencing, fighting, torture, poison, true love. Yes, true love. Yes. Revenge, giants, hunters, bad men, snakes, spiders. We didn't have the budget for that. Pain, death, brave men, cowardly men, strongest men, chases, escapes, lies, truths, passions, and miracles. Now, RUSs, yes, he didn't mention that. But thank you for reminding me. Thank you. Now, if that didn't sound exciting to a 13-year-old, nothing would. So here I was, 11 years later, being cast in a movie written by one of my favorite writers and being directed by one of my favorite directors. It was, in a nutshell, a fairy tale come true. At the time, I was just 23 and had only a handful of films to my credit. One of them was a costume drama, Lady Jane, in which I starred. Thank you. Which I starred. There's two people who've seen it. Thank you. Thank you both. In which I starred with Helena Bonham Carter. Luckily for me, this was the film that convinced Rob to consider me for the role of the farmhand turned pirate. The way I looked at it, I had hitched a ride on this magnificent journey with no idea where it might take me. I'd be lying if I said that I had even the slightest inkling that our little film, made in less than 90 days on a modest budget, was destined to become a classic. So, is it fair to call it a classic? It's a small word that carries enormous weight, although sometimes it's tossed around a bit too casually. It's only given to that rare kind of film that stands up to repeated viewing. And somehow, it appears The Princess Bride has aged remarkably well. I think... You're too kind. I think that's in part because of the quality of the writing, the directing, and the selfless ensemble acting. But I also like to think that it's because it's a timeless story, a tale of heroes and villains, of love and romance, and not just any love. True love. Very good. Ironically, when the movie opened in 1987, it didn't make much of an impact. The reason was because the film was very hard for the studio to sell. Was it a fantasy, a fairy tale, a kids' movie, an adult film, a comedy, an action film? Well, the simple answer is that it is all of those things. The quote-along hasn't started yet. But please, feel free. As you wish to. Thank you. The simple answer is, it's all of those things and a whole lot more. And so the marketing department at the studio didn't know what to do with it. And the film did not quite gain the traction it might have deserved. Within a few months after the release, all of us involved with the project had moved on with our lives. And then a strange thing began to happen. The film, which had been mostly dead, for almost a decade, suddenly came back to life, thanks to a new viewing format, the VHS cassette. For those of you too young in the audience, you'll have to Google it. Folks began renting it, then buying it, giving them as gifts, and eventually passing them down for one generation to the next. Now, how many of you here still own your VHS copies? Shout. That's incredible. Inconceivable. I do know what it means, unlike Vincini. For all of us involved with the film, this seemed to be not only inconceivable, but an incredible blessing. The Princess Bride gave me everything, the career I have and the wonderful life I lead today. A life I feel privileged to have, and that is thanks to all of you, the fans. Thank you. Two years ago, myself, Rob, Bill Goldman, and the whole cast gathered together for a 25th anniversary screening at the Lincoln Center to watch the movie again for the first time since the premiere. During the screening, I was flooded with memories from the making of the film, moments we all shared as part of Rob's extraordinary traveling circus. And that's why I've written this book, to share with you all just how much fun it was to work on this magical film. And this is not just my memoir. Rob Reiner, Bill Goldman, producers Andy Scheinman and Norman Lear, and the remaining cast, including Billy Crystal, Robin Wright, Mandy Patinkin, Chris Sarandon, Chris Guest, Carol Kane, Fred Savage, and Wally Shawn, all share their memories as well. So, if you are a fan of the movie and would like to know a little bit more about how it came to be a beloved fairy tale, then all I can say is, as you wish. And now, on with the screening. Have fun storming the castle.
We're going to get these struck, and then the film will start, and we'll see you after for an extended Q&A.